Oh snap, wild Nintendo Switch 2 news has appeared. Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we have much to discuss surrounding Nintendo and the Switch 2. There are wild Switch 2s out there, and I don't just mean on store shelves, and as a result, we are learning even more about this console. Going beyond that, we have gotten major Pokémon Legends Z-A news, including the release date, which may be hinting at other major releases this holiday from Nintendo, which is equally, if not even more, exciting. And then on top of that, we have a new commercial for Mario Kart World that appears to be showing off a whole other feature or mode in this game that could be suggesting even more about Mario Kart World. And yet, even with all of that, there is still more to discuss today regarding Nintendo and the Switch 2. But before going forward, let me take this moment to point out that I am now aiming for a new goal of 60,000 subscribers. So if you find yourself enjoying my content, your subscription would be appreciated. So yesterday we talked about how Switch 2s are out on store shelves, but as you see here being shared by Stealth from a Reddit post, there is actual footage out there of people having their Switch 2s in their homes. Here you see the box. I'm skipping through not actually playing the footage because this video might get blocked by Nintendo, but as you see, you can see inside the tablet, the Joy-Cons. If you go to the actual Reddit post, it's been taken down by the moderators. If you go over here from Warrior64, he had actually shared out the YouTube short of the Switch 2 out in the wild. That video has been taken down due to copyright claim, so stuff is getting kind of wild here. Now, people are reporting who have gotten their hands on Switch 2 that it requires a June 5th update to unlock the games, to be able to actually play these games. If you put a game inside, it says it requires internet access to connect and update, and that update will not be available until later on. And this is upsetting a great deal of people. A lot of people don't like the idea that you have to connect to the internet to update your system in order to play a game. But I think Nintendo may have done this for this very reason of Switch 2's getting out there very early on. They've been leaked. So what if they had Mario Kart World or something else and that was all leaked well in advance? I think Nintendo is totally in the right here to do what they can to limit that. Now the question is, what will happen after June 5th? Will further Switch 2s coming out after June 5th also require an update to play games? Or is this just with the initial wave of Switch 2s at launch? That part remains to be seen, although personally I don't actually think it's that big of a deal. Almost everyone has access to the internet, and even if you don't, let's say you don't have internet, the Switch 2 is a handheld device. You can take it somewhere where there's a free Wi-Fi where you can update your console. And the reality of the situation is, modern technology in general requires an internet connection to have full access, at least in the beginning. So personally, I don't think we should be making too much of a big deal out of this. Of course, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Moving on, we have a new commercial for Mario Kart World, and in this commercial, we see Super Mario Bros. Circuit. But if you look carefully, the map is different from how it looks in the treehouse. It's flipped, or in reverse. And this is very interesting. Could this be mirror mode or something else? I don't think it's mirror mode, because if you look at the signs, they are not mirrored. This is actually the track in reverse. And so this basically tells us that most, if not all, tracks in Mario Kart World, you'll also be able to race in reverse. Now the question is this going to be possible through versus race mode, where Nintendo's already told us that we can do different things that are not possible in Grand Prix or Knockout Tour? Or is this something else? Is this something kind of like a mirror mode or a 200cc where we can pick this as another option? I think this might be an even bigger deal than some people realize, which I'll probably be speaking more on in a later on video, doing more of a deep dive into other things hidden about Mario Kart World. But if this is the case, in a sense it kind of creates a great deal more content in this game. And perhaps there's even more to learn about this game, because if they're hiding something like a reverse mode, what else are they hiding? Like 200cc, something else? We'll talk more about that at another time. But even if it's just this, I think it's a pretty big deal. And we actually just got even more footage for Mario Kart World straight from the Nintendo Today app, so take a look. And as you can see from this footage, the music is awesome, love it. We get a good look at this area here from the binocular view, but we also again see another interesting location of Nabbit running around. I definitely think there's something going on here with Nabbit. Something else that Nintendo showed off in the Today app today is that there is a how-to section on how to use the mouse controls. Take a look. So nothing too crazy here, but it's a little bit more we've seen of Switch 2, and they are making sure to educate people on mouse controls work, and it looks like they work quite seamlessly and well. And here's one more neat thing we got from the Today app today. More unadulterated Metroid Prime 4 Beyond footage. Take a look. So I shared this Metroid Prime 4 footage because even though we have seen it during the Treehouse, we are seeing it without any of the commentary from the Treehouse. So we get to hear all that awesome Metroid Prime 4 audio, we get to hear the voice acting, a lot of the cool Metroid Prime vibes. It's a really great scene. So Nintendo has provided another update for Switch 1, and this is further preparing the console to be ready for the Switch 2 generation. As you see here, a screenshot from the update, the Switch Online app matches the theme of your console, and you can see also mention of the GameCube app, and now the NSO games have all been rebranded to Nintendo Classics as we knew they were going to for Switch 2, so now it's the case on Switch 1 as well. And here, on this site here from Nintendo Everything, they put in bullets some of the things people have already found about the update. The app now matches to set the system theme, there are faster loading and response times, that's awesome. Overall sound effect changes, user profile icon has matching background color, various tab icons have changed, NES, Super NES, Game Boy, N64, and Game Boy Advance tab now titled Nintendo Classics, it's all been rebranded. The Nintendo Classics tab now includes GameCube games, the Special Offers tab now includes the GameCube controller, and the Missions and Rewards tab has been moved up. So this is a pretty significant update for the Switch 1. And it's nice to see that they're preparing Switch 1 to coexist quite well alongside Switch 2, which is why I find this other little bit of news to be rather interesting. As you're seeing being reported by Stealth here, Nintendo released the first update for Animal Crossing New Horizons in 3 years. Update 2.0.7 improved the compatibility for multiplayer sessions between Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch. So one of the big ideas behind the Switch 1 and Switch 2 compatibility is that there will be games you'll be able to play across both consoles, like Animal Crossing for example. And when you also factor in that a lot of Switch 1 games are going to be seeing visual and performance enhancements, there may be even more to think about here in terms of how multiplayer will work across these different games. Let's move on to this substantial news for Pokemon though. So it's been announced that the next Pokemon Presents will be airing on July 22nd, which is kind of crazy for a few reasons. One, I can't think of a time that they've announced a Pokemon Presents so far in advance. It's almost 2 months in advance. And typically, when something like this is announced this far in advance, at least from Nintendo, it tends to suggest that it's a bigger deal presentation than usual. Just look at the Switch 2 Direct, for example. That was announced quite a bit in advance, and yeah, it was a pretty big deal presentation. It was the presentation showing off the beginning of the Switch 2 generation. And so I now have myself wondering, is this Pokemon Presents going to be more special than usual? I think at the very least it's safe to expect a significant update on Pokémon Legends Z-A. But could there be more? Maybe. On the note of Pokémon Legends Z-A though, we've gotten a lot of news on this particular game as well today. So Pokemon has officially announced the Legends Z-A will be arriving on October 16th of 2025. And also here they say, in addition to the Nintendo Switch title, a Nintendo Switch 2 edition will offer improved graphics and frame rates. The digital and physical versions of Pokémon Legends Z-A can be upgraded to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition via Upgrade Pack. And here we can see the key art for Pokémon Legends Z-A. It looks awesome. We can see all the Mega Evolutions, the nighttime gameplay. They're making a big deal out of this. So much of a big deal that this nighttime gameplay is actually the box art for the game. Here's the Switch 2 edition. Here is the Switch 1 version. I really like how the box art looks. Even though we do have the bottom text here, I still really love how the art looks with the red around it. This looks pretty great to me. But also we can see them here side by side. It's a nice box art. I think compared to other box arts we've seen for different Pokemon games, this one holds up really well. But basically what's being reported right now is that the Switch 1 version will be $60 as expected, and the Switch 2 version, also as expected, will be $70 USD. So if you first get the Switch 1 version, you want to get the Switch 2 improvement, you pay an extra $10, and there you go. They're also showing off some bundles are available here, which I find to be very interesting, and what I find extra interesting about all this stuff is this may suggest that the game is pretty much completed. They're already talking about bundles and stuff like that. They have a box art and everything, and the game's not coming out till October, so this is fairly far in advance here. But also we have some interesting new renders for the different Mega Evolutions in Legends Z-A. So you can see Gardevoir, Charizard X, Sableye, Kangaskhan, Charizard Y, Gyarados. They look fantastic, but wait, there is more. Ampharos looking extra uber fabulous, love it. Altaria right there looks great. And here we have Absol with the wings, looking like a total beast, majestically. So, love the new renders here for all the different Mega Evolutions, they look awesome. I am excited for Pokemon Legends Z-A, but there is something else I want to speak on today, and that has to do with the release date for Legends Z-A on October 16th, 2025. So, this is a big deal, even for non-Pokemon fans. Why? Because that means November, where we usually see some sort of major release, is not being dedicated to Pokemon. So then, what's coming out in November? Now, a lot of you have been following me lately. You've probably heard my theories on Luigi's Mansion 4 maybe being a big October release. Still possible for this October, I would argue, because during this period of time, October, November, we oftentimes see multiple big Nintendo games, so we could potentially see both Luigi's Mansion 4 and Pokemon in October. I don't think it's a total complete stretch, especially because Luigi's Mansion 4 would be a Switch 2 exclusive, while Legends Z-A would be a Switch 1 and Switch 2 game. But even if we don't get Luigi's Mansion 4, Legends Z-A is enough for October, at least for me. What would be coming out in November? Could that be Luigi's Mansion 4? Possibly, although missing October feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity. Although, going back to this idea of it coming out, given that Legends Z-A comes out mid-October, Luigi's Mansion 4 could come out at the end of October, 2 weeks later, in time for Halloween. Regardless though, I still think there needs to be another major game that comes out in November from Nintendo, and if we're talking about November, I am starting to lean away from it being Luigi's Mansion 4, even though, like I said, still a possibility. There could be something else major during this period of time. In fact, not only am I going to say could be, I would say almost certainly there will be another major release for November, because there always is a major release for November. So if something as big as Pokemon's coming out in October, what's coming out in November? Some people might speculate, well, maybe that's when they're saving Metroid Prime 4 for, but from everything we've seen so far, it looks like Prime 4 actually has an earlier release timing than Pokemon, the way they've listed it in their financials, the way it's been shown off. Of course, none of that is 100% confirmation that Prime 4 is coming out before Pokemon. It is possible that Metroid comes out afterwards, but I have been theorizing that Prime 4 is going to be a September release. So if Prime 4 is a big September release, if October is a big Pokemon release, what comes out in November? As I've been saying, I think we need at least one more big Switch 2 exclusive, and Prime 4 and Legends Z-A are not Switch 2 exclusives, so I think you can make an argument that we might need even more than one big exclusive Switch 2 game to come out from Nintendo this year, but at least one for the month of November. So what might that be? there have been rumors of there being one more big surprise title for this year. I want to temper my expectations here. I feel like maybe we should not expect 3D Mario because of Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I also feel like maybe we should not expect like a big Zelda remake like the one we keep hearing about for Ocarina of Time, because it feels like it's too soon. They would probably save that at least for the 40th anniversary, and some rumors have been suggesting it may take even longer, and we've already gotten a variety of different Zelda offerings this year. So I'm assuming it's not those things, but sometimes when we make assumptions, that leads us astray. Maybe we should not be assuming that 3D Mario can't come out this year because of Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza. Maybe, given that Bonanza would be coming out in July, by November, it would be more than reasonable enough time to put out another big 3D platformer in 3D Mario. I don't think it's a complete stretch. But what if Nintendo has something completely different in mind for this holiday? Could it be Smash Bros? Could it be Animal Crossing? Or might it be something else that we would not normally consider to come out during the holiday time, but might be kind of a big deal? What if Nintendo's going all in on a new Star Fox game, for example? Might sound crazy, but if Nintendo's going all in on this, it might deserve a big holiday spot. But what do you all think? What do you believe Nintendo will be putting out this November? And what do you make of all this other exciting, wild Nintendo Switch 2 news? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.